All right, hello again, guys. Nice to meet you here. Sorry, we can't meet personally. That's a bad luck with this situation. So I hope you sit here all comfortable and ready for a small talk. Let me introduce myself very quickly. My name is Karel Topič. I'm from Czech Republic. I have experience. I lived in Australia. That was a wonderful time, and still love to come back. That was like 6 years in Australia, which was great. And I'm an owner of a travel agency called Viva Travel. We basically specialize in exotic destinations and tailor-made holidays. That's just a short from me and who we got here. So that's Jenni Berg from Contiki Holidays from New Zealand. Hello.
Hi, I'm actually joining from Canada, in Toronto.
Oh, right. Yeah, so you got a better information.
We do have offices all over the world, though. So I wish I was in New Zealand. They're a lot more COVID-free right now.
All right, great. Then we have Hans Lagerweij. I don't know if I pronounce it right way, from Albatros Travel from Denmark. Is that correct?
Yeah. Thanks, and well pronounced. That's a difficult challenge always.
All right. And as the last person, there should be Andrew Turner from Discova, a travel company from UK.
Hi. Good to meet you.
Hey, okay, perfect. And you are in UK, right?
I am indeed. Yeah, I'm about an hour outside of London, down in the countryside.
Perfect. So let's look what we got here. So escape from ordinary tours and what expects the mass tourism. All right, I have some questions here or some topics to talk about. So let's start with Jenni from Contiki. I got a statement here from Czech Aydin, president of New York-based Ovation Vacations, who said, what I saw most was the changing nature of the bucket list, the focus on personal goals and the immersive experience people really wanted, rather than specific destinations. Therefore, in the travel advisors business community, we need to work hard on the services we offer and the way we deliver personalization. What we trade is highly personalized experiences, and we don't always do it in a great way. What do you think about that, Jenni? How Contiki Holidays care about that?
For sure. I mean, I think that, with our market being more the younger traveler, the 18 to 35s, they are constantly changing. We're always surveying and listening to our travelers' feedback. So over the years, we have taken note of the desire that young travelers have to enjoy more of a customized experience. I think more than ever, they want to feel that their travels are more personalized to them. So we've done a few things. So I actually have a lot to say on this topic. Several years ago, we actually changed up our trips to fit into different travel styles. So these included in-depth explorer trips. So these are for people that want to have more free time to fully immerse themselves in one country's culture. Then on the flip side, iconic essentials for travelers who are looking to really cross off more of those bucket list items, maybe by even experiencing multiple countries. We also separated out like sailing and beach trips, small group adventures, hiking and trekking, even safari style in some areas. So by clearly categorizing many of our itineraries, our sales and travel agents were able to recommend the right travel styles for their customer by simply asking those few qualifying questions. But we also found that our travelers really love the unique accommodations. So we do try and include these. Some are owned and operated by ourselves, by Contiki, such as, we have this French chateau in the Beaujolais region of France, which is really nice. I've stayed there once. It was great. It's really unique, but also by finding accommodations that are off the beaten track. So something like we have these floating jungle rafts that we use in Thailand, and clients are left more with that memorable experience instead of just a place to lay their head at night. We've also made a lot of efforts to diversify the experiences that we include. So while we will still, of course, showcase those must-see icons that travelers do want to still check off those typical bucket list items, I think, just trying to also have those hidden gems along the way that our local guides are able to provide. And also young travelers, we find that more and more, it's so great that they're so interested in traveling sustainably. So making sure that they're able to give back while they're traveling through, giving back to the planet, people, or wildlife. We actually have built in these Make Travel Matter experiences into the itineraries. And lastly, actually, in this last year, we've taken it kind of to the next level. We've developed even more personalized experiences. So listening to our travelers and what they're looking for, our operations team took the opportunity to design some unique experiences that will be available once we're back operating to a full capacity. So limited edition trips are these special theme departures or one-off departures with specially curated, such as like cycling, active, foodie, pride trips. And then we also have shorter detours, what we call them trips, which are local experts who actually host a very small group, taking them into their homes or their properties, and really taking them into their lives. And these themed adventures also include the foodie, but also yoga, wellness, and photography. So we've mixed it up a lot in the last few years to make sure that we are customizing a bit more so people feel like it's more of a personal experience.
Yeah, right. I'm curious, actually, like the things you're talking about. Does it come on a place just in the last couple of years? Like, are Contiki doing that for let's say like long time before the COVID? Like, is it just like people are more high demanding now, or was it like that even before?
So when I talked about like the different travel experiences and mixing up the accommodations a lot more, that's been happening probably for about 7 or 8 years, to be honest. Like we were recognizing that fairly early on. It started with more the millennial traveler, but now with the younger generation coming in, I think they're even more so looking for that personalized experience. So the limited edition, those really personalized experiences, the detour trips, those have come in the past like year and a half. So they were already kind of on the cusp when COVID hit, but we've been able to really develop them out so that once we're able to kind of go live again, I think those will sell well. But to be honest with you, I think that once people are actually looking at the itineraries, they will end up probably falling back on the more classic trips. But I think that they like to know that those ones are available to offer on if they like.
Yeah. I agree. Like, we do like a tailor-made trips since 2009, but at the same time, at this COVID time, people are just happy if they can travel. They are not more demanding, what I can say, than before, because they're just happy they even can travel somewhere, that it's even possible.
Well, I'll let you know, I was on our Facebook. There's a Facebook chat group. Well, not a chat group, but I guess it's like a past traveler group. And I happened to stumble upon a conversation last night between two people who were in the UK, and, maybe thinking that, maybe we won't be able to travel this summer like we thought outside of our area. And they were asking each other for advice and asking the community for advice. What are you guys up to? And they were looking at these smaller experiences that were in the UK, domestic trips, just for people in that area. And they said, yeah, we could probably plan this on our own, like it's in our own backyard. But I really am craving that group experience. Like, I'm craving the connection with other people. So they were leaning towards booking it with us, even though it's something that, is in not too far from their actual home.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely understandable, because people need the social contact, and it's very limited in these COVID times. So let's include other guys we got here. So Hans, question for you. That with the COVID situation, basically people got a small relief that in the big cities we don't get so many tourists, and they say, okay, that's one positive thing about COVID, at least something. And the question is, so do you think, are we going back to the problems of over tourism in certain areas after COVID-19?
That's a really good question. What we noticed is that even before Corona, in the last couple of years, there was certainly this trend, especially for the upper part of the travel market, to go to more remote places, wilderness, nature, so away from the busy cities and the busy top attractions. People they started to dislike the huge groups and people around them, and that is one reason why at Albatros we have really put our bets on a couple of products for the future. One of them is Greenland, the biggest island in the world, but having the same amount of tourists as San Marino or Liechtenstein in Europe. So really small. It offers plenty of opportunities. So we have started developing bases there, buying accommodations, developing activity centers. We also ordered 2 expedition cruise vessels. Actually, it appears now to be with the lowest carbon emissions per passenger in the industry, that we will use especially in Antarctica, in Arctic, and even in 2023 we do a trip to all the most remote islands in the Atlantic Ocean. Apparently we are further away from any civilization than if you would travel in the space station. And also we have started to acquire safari camps and safari lodges in Africa that are the perfect size, between 20 and 30 guests. So we are really betting on remoteness, people wanting to go back to nature in relatively small scale accommodations and ships. Do we think that after Corona, over tourism is gone? No. There will be always mass tourism, and people simply also from a price perspective that like to travel in bigger groups and bigger resorts and bigger hotels and go to the bigger attractions of the world. I hope that this will be better managed in the future by the destinations, by tour operators. But certainly the problems of over-tourism are not gone yet.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have a similar experience with the remote places. People love them, especially if they go in a small group, so they are not alone, but they can be on places or national parks where no one else is. The people love it. Yeah, that's what they look for. And about the big cities, I think there will be some regulations, but as you said, like there are some nations, some let's say maybe typically from like Chinese people and other people, they love to travel in big groups, and I think they always will do that. Like they always approach the main attractions and in a big numbers. So yeah, the mass tourism probably always will be here, I guess. And okay, so what Andrew thinks about that, and on top of that, I like this question. Today, the experimental expectations of selective and sophisticated guests have gone beyond the surface level. Guests expect unforgettable moments today, taking advantage of rare and enriching emotional experiences. And the question is, how do you reach these people as an operator?
Yeah, sure. So I guess just to give you an idea who Discova are, we're actually a destination management company working purely with B2B brands in Asia and the Americas. So I'll try and cover both angles of working with tour operators and I guess from a kind of direct perspective as well. But I guess from a DMC perspective, it's really kind of working with our partners and operators to really kind of come up with innovative products and not just assuming what the customer's looking for. I guess in terms of that kind of product offering and the type of customer, like Jenni mentioned there, you've got your youth customer, which is going to be looking for them Instagrammable moments. They're looking for that unique product offering. But then you've also got customers that are just trying to go to a destination for the very first time, that do want to see the highlights of a destination, but they probably still want to get off the beaten track a little bit as well. So I guess over the last year in Discova, we've really kind of thought about our product innovation and what customers are going to want post-COVID. And I guess a lot of it's guesstimation, right? But we can kind of work on what we kind of know and start creating new and exciting products that we think customers are going to want, working with our partners and operators to really kind of differentiate them in market. So a few kind of ideas for you. We're big in the leisure space. We work in the kind of educational space, and we do some tailor-made product as well. But I guess a core part of what we're going to be doing is kind of that the group touring for some of our partners, and actually making them stand out and how can they be different. It's not necessarily getting away from the kind of the main touristy destinations. It's doing something a little bit different in their destinations. So, for example, if you're in Singapore, rather than doing the traditional kind of activities, and we've just crafted a new and exciting graffiti street art project, which has actually gone down really well and selling massively to the domestic market in Singapore. But also we can obviously offer that to kind of international partners as well. It's then experiences that you might not be able to find in the guidebook. So maybe even something as simple as just kind of having a coffee with a local, or kind of farm to table projects that we will incorporate. And it's really thinking about how you can make yourself stand out, I guess, and differentiate yourself from the competition that we can do there as well. Another core thing is really kind of think about that itinerary, is moving away from that kind of traditional kind of highlight of destination, let's say, for example, Vietnam, Halong Bay, and maybe trying a different kind of version of Halong Bay. So that's what we do for a lot of our partners. How can we make that a little bit unique? And I think that's the core thing we just need to remember. Customers are looking for unforgettable experiences. They're probably, a lot of the customers might have been to this destination once or twice before. How can you make it different by theming it? By looking at the accommodation and really thinking about the sector that you are selling to. And as a DMC, it's really important that we are collaborating with our partners and working together to innovate what that product offering looks like. And I think that's where we've seen great growth from our partners, where we do work together as a DMC, and we can kind of share our knowledge from on the ground, and also kind of share their knowledge of what they want from a kind of their customer demographic, and really kind of build product out towards their DNA, but listening to what we have to say as a DMC, as well as what we think would work well based on past experience in that kind of destination. So a real big thing for us is kind of focusing on sustainability still. And I think more and more people are going to want that going forward. There's lots of tour companies out there that will kind of almost kind of greenwash sustainability, and it's really having the credentials to back up that you can do it well. And there's some great companies, tour operators out there that are doing it really, really well, and there's some that are just kind of talking about it that could potentially be doing a lot better as well. So I think that's a really important thing to remember. But I think there's one other thing just to kind of bear in mind, that more and more customers are only just stepping into this kind of touring holiday. I'll use my parents as an example. They've very much always been that kind of, I call them a bucket and spade customer. They go on their Caribbean holiday, they sit by the pool all day, and they'll go to the restaurant, and maybe they'll take a few day tours. It's taken me a very long time to get them to step out of their comfort zone, but I think that's what a lot of customers are at that stage of as well. They want to do something different. They do want experiences, but it's not necessarily going from laying by pool for 7 days to kind of a 10-day full-on back-to-back daily tour. So how can you incorporate your product offering from being kind of a traditional kind of beach holiday, and maybe just kind of give them a taster of what that kind of activity, that touring is about? So maybe a day tour, or maybe a 3-day tour pre or post that kind of 7-day holiday. So really thinking about how you can differentiate product going forward, and coming out of this, looking at your traditional product offering and what customers might want, which is probably also going to be longer duration stays as well.
Yeah, I understand. It's the main focus is on product, and you try to personalize or improve the product. And let me ask you, how do you approach the people? Like, okay, you offer like different products, and it is more personalized. And what channels do you use to approach your clients?
So I guess in terms of us as a B2B business, I've got a team of 14 business development managers and account managers. So we're really obviously kind of approaching B2B partners in that way. We don't do B2C as a business ourselves. We have done in the past. We're purely focusing on B2B now. But I guess in terms of what we're looking for is a partner that's got similar DNA to us. They've got a focus on sustainability. They've got customers that want to come to a destination that we can deliver great product for them. We're operating in 14 Asian countries, 3 countries in the Americas, with the potential to expand there as well. But I think traditional channels, like everyone's mentioned, Instagram is going to be a great option for you. Keep in front of mind. If you can grow your following, chuck out great imagery of accommodation, of kind of the activities they can be doing, that you're keeping your brand front of mind, so when they do come to book a holiday, they're instantly thinking about Contiki or Albatros, for example, there as well. So I think that's really important. Again, traditional channels, Facebook, I know for a lot of our partners is very good. It's a great way of kind of tackling that audience, traditional EDM messages. And what I've seen work really well over the last kind of year is these kind of virtual sessions, which a few people have mentioned throughout today. But one of our partners I've seen has done a fantastic job of kind of doing virtual sessions on cooking sessions, or cherry blossom I've seen launching in Japan in a few weeks' time. I think that's really important, just to keep your customers front of mind in this period of what we're calling hibernation. How can you make them stand out? Because I think the thing is, as soon as we start to see some light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm based in the UK, and it seems to ever be changing about what will happen here. But I think they'll be quickly to book. So that kind of book to travel window will potentially be a little bit shorter. So if we're kind of looking at Asia right now, we're not expecting any kind of sales to bounce back until at least November. And that'll be a much smaller capacity than pre-COVID levels, probably not getting back to pre-COVID levels till the end of 2022. So yeah, I think that's kind of my thoughts on that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I encourage the other guys to ask questions between each other and comment on what everybody says. So yeah, feel free to do that.
Yeah, Karel and Andrew, what I thought was a very interesting point that Andrew touched on was sustainability and greenwashing. And let's face it, every travel company in the world has somewhere on the website a piece about sustainability and that they're doing such a great work on that. But let's face it, it's not true. There's a lot of greenwashing out there. And I think that, when we restart after Corona, people will be happy to travel. Absolutely. But they also have seen, the negative impact of travel and what it means to have a travel pass. So I think they will be way more critical towards an element like sustainability. And Andrew's so right that they will see behind the curtains, and if someone is just greenwashing. And I was just very much flabbergasted, I have to say, in the expedition cruise industry. There's a lot of new ships being built, and everyone talks about the sustainable features and blah, 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 blah. But in the end, it's about carbon emissions. It is how much is the negative impact that we have on the planet with our products. And I think it's stunning that we, as a small niche player from Denmark, are the first company going out and saying, hey, we focus on our carbon emissions, and we are convinced we have now achieved the lowest carbon emissions per passenger in the industry, and we put it out there very strongly for one simple reason, and that is we hope that the competition catch up and improves and beats us with that, because that would be a win for the industry in the end.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to point out as well. Is like, I think a lot of companies, operators think it's all about the cheapest price. It really isn't. From my background, where I've come from, I worked for a large tour operator for 8 years in the adventure travel space, and they were very much committed to sustainability. They wouldn't have always been the cheapest price, but because of their credentials, because of their background, because of the fact they could really talk about the great work they were doing in the sustainability space, the product sold very easily, and you used to get repeat customers time and time again. So it's just kind of potentially thinking, doesn't need to be the cheapest price point. Just think about the value that you're offering your customers. Yes, a water bottle might be an extra £2, but reality is it's £2 that your customers are going to be actually okay to pay. Don't make the assumptions that they're not committed to wanting to do this. And it's really urging operators to really start thinking about this, because if we don't, and you're sending mass amounts of customers away to destinations, then we're going to be in similar issues in years to come. So some great work being done by some companies, and I definitely think that some others could be doing a little bit more.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I agree, and I think it's great to basically support the local communities in the countries we send the clients to, and to show them the way they can do it better. Because in some other countries, in Asian countries, Latin America countries, the local people sometimes they don't even know they can do the things better, or they can take care about the nature a little bit better and stuff like that. So if that comes from us and from our travel companies as well, and we can sort of educate them and support them financially, that helps as well. And that's something what tourists can see on the spot as well, that the things are improving and the local people know what to focus on as well. All right, let's come back to Jenni again. She didn't speak for quite a bit of time. It's a similar question as.
It's early in the morning for me here. Okay,
is it?
Give me a break.
I have already lunch in my stomach, so I feel probably a bit better. Yeah, so we touched it a little bit, but let's talk a little bit more about Generation Y. They are like younger people, and they look for more independency, and they book the trips not through the travel agency, but they book the services online and they travel on their own. Basically, the number of the people traveling on their own are increasing, definitely. And the question is, what do you think about it, and how you as operator, how do you fight with that?
Yeah, so I think we find, in each market it is quite different. So when obviously, when I started in the travel industry, every single person, if they were booking anything, it was through a travel agent, and that was just known. And it was, I think, a lot easier for everyone, for the operators, for the agents. That was the way that it worked. But we do find that markets are changing around the world. They all have different booking trends. So for Contiki, for example, like our office in Australia, which is one of our biggest offices, the bulk of young travelers are still leaning on travel agents for pretty much all of their booking needs. Whereas here in Canada, where I am, the trend has shown, over the years, it's, for whatever reason, a lot of young travelers are turning to online for travel inspiration, information, and even to book. So we do continue to work very closely with our travel agent partners, and we do, ensure that we are staying relevant to our travelers. So over the years, we've worked really hard on our own side to redesign and revamp our website. It became very clear that our travelers did want that seamless online booking experience. If we didn't have it, they would simply just move to another company's website. So some of our travel agent partners, they've moved more also into the online space by adapting and creating their own online booking system. This has definitely helped them capture more of the young travelers. But also we try to work with our partners to help them develop and implement a stronger social media presence. So, by giving them access to even our editorial content, our imagery, our engagement tactics. These are the agents who are really catching the attention of those travelers and who may be, just searching online, and that's their only way that they're going for the information. And also, of course, I think it was mentioned in the last session that a lot of these social platforms are where people are going for that travel inspiration and destination information. I've seen it firsthand. Like, I've met young people at events and even on campuses, and they'll literally come up to me and say, like, do you guys have any trips to Greece? And, they're like, 19, 18, 20 years old. They've never heard a lot about Greece, but, I'll be like, oh, like, well, why do you want to go to Greece? Like, I saw this amazing picture on my Instagram, and like, I need to take that picture. And sometimes it's something that simple that will get them there. But then, hopefully the experience that we're all providing for them is taking them to the next level. It might have been that inspiration at the first bit that gave them the idea, but then once they actually get there, they do end up putting their phone down and really taking it in a little bit more.
Yeah, right. I would highlight what you said, the online experience. Like, I think that's super important. Like, we are in a COVID situation, so everything's online, and the young people, they always online. So each of us or each company has to have a really great online presentation with a focus on the people we are targeting, and of course the social media that comes all together. So yeah, online platforms.
And actually, just kind of jumping back to something that Andrew said, that was interesting to me that, you know, the projection that people may be looking to stay longer in destination. One trend that we found here in Canada anyway, where in the past our trips that were more, you know, 1 week, 10 days, 2 weeks long were our top sellers. What we're seeing people booking now for 2022 is our longest trips, like our 40-day trips or 45-day trips, which usually sold really well with like the Australian market or in New Zealand. But in Canada, we didn't see those long trips being booked. And I think people are just so pent up. They're like, well, I didn't go away this year, so in 2022, I'm going to go away like double or triple.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like you mentioned there, Jenny, like everyone's been either, I mean, I've been stuck in this room pretty much for a year now. I'm going to an office on Monday. I'm very excited about that. But I think more and more people are just wanting to do something different. A lot of people are booking in the UK at the moment, these kind of UK staycations. And it's great that lots of kind of the tour operators have been able to diversify over this period and create that kind of small group adventure out of the UK. We're seeing cruise lines at the moment as well that are kind of doing all these UK cruisecations during the summer as well. So the diversification of product has certainly been key. But I think that's the thing, as soon as I get the green light that I can travel, have the vaccine, I'll be on that plane and sitting in Asia for at least 6 weeks to work, because I'm just fed up of being at home. And I think there'll be more and more people that are thinking the same. And there are some great deals to be had at the moment. If you're happy to book now and have the confidence to do so, then you'll be able to get a great price.
Yeah. I have a funny story to tell regarding longer trips. So the founder and owner of our company, Søren Rasmussen, he's extremely passionate and still involved in itinerary development. He loves that. He loves to develop the best and most unique trips. And we have worked very hard in the last year just to develop products for 22, 23. So really long time out. And one of the products that we developed, I touched base already on it, is a cruise to all the most remote islands that you can find in the Atlantic. And Søren pushed that no, it has to be the most fantastic trip. And he pushed it to 27 nights, 28 days cruise. And I said, nah, it's too long, it's too long. And, in the end, he's the owner. And okay, then we start selling it. And it sells. It's probably our best-selling trip for 2023 at the moment. So I learn about it still every day. People are open for longer travels, longer trips, bigger experiences.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing as well, is like just kind of like sharing ideas. Obviously, it's a very competitive market, the travel industry, but as a DMC, I mean, we're certainly kind of open to kind of sharing knowledge about what we're seeing, kind of trending, the kind of durations. And as I mentioned earlier, that kind of product innovation is really, really key. Like, don't be stuck in your ways of what you've done pre-COVID, and be open to change about what will be in the future. Times will change. People will want to do something different. We're all making a lot of assumptions right now about what will happen in the future. But I certainly think that that traveler kind of, the way they do travel and how they do it, how long they go away for, is certainly going to change. Yeah, and to build on that, I know about one US tour operator who took as a strategy during Corona times that after Corona, they will completely focus on their top, I think it's top 30 trips before Corona. So they cut everything away. No, we're going to focus on our top 30 trips again. And I told them, well, yeah, your top 30 trips before Corona is not going to be your top 30 trips after Corona. So you will miss out anyway. It's a strategy that will make you lose. But let's see.
Yeah, I was here as a Uzakrota as a speaker, I don't know, a month or 2 months ago, and I said exactly what Andrew mentioned. Like, it's all about flexibility. Everything's changed. And if you want to survive, you have to be flexible, and you have to think different way, and just see what happens and offer people what they want exactly. And just to mention, I just returned last week from Costa Rica, and I just posted a few pictures on the Facebook and Instagram, of course. And we got actually quite few inquiries in a past weeks that people ask me to go to Costa Rica for long-term stay, like months, like 1 to 6 months. They said, okay, can you organize this? Like, we would like to stay not just 2 weeks vacation, but just 2-3 months,
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly what we are talking about.
Yeah, you mentioned.
I think we can all agree. Let me know on one statement, and that is, there's a lot of companies out there that, because of people were on furlough, and they have no innovation in the product whatsoever, no new trips development. And guys, that's not good. That will not work out. You have to keep innovating. You have to keep creating new products, especially now.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? You really need to stand out from the crowd. The touring space is becoming more and more competitive, and that mainstream market that might potentially have been kind of like a twin triple center holiday is trying to evolve. Even the cruise lines are trying to evolve and kind of bolting on the touring holidays as well. So it's only going to become more and more competitive. Obviously, the growth pre-COVID of the touring space was absolutely massive, and it will continue to grow, but I think it will bounce back at a slightly slower rate to start with, but will certainly accelerate a bit quicker post-COVID.
Yeah.
And I think too, like the remote working too is so huge now. Like obviously we've all shown that it can work, right? We can work from home, things can keep moving. So kind of a fun thing that we're going to be trying this summer is some of the properties that we do own. So for instance, in Austria, we have an amazing renovated new property that's right in Hofgarten. It's adorable little village right by Ski Belt. And it's going to be opened up that you can book as like a kind of a live-in work remote property. So people, can go and have their own room. They can take it, use all the facilities, but also be right by, like you're in the Alps. You can take a mountain bike out after you're done work. So maybe if they're in one of those, a city and they're cooped up in a little condo or something, why not relocate for 4 months, change your home where you're at, and also maybe, be able to experience another culture along the way.
Yeah, maybe that's even like a kind of product innovation product within itself, like actually creating these, let's call them bizcations. So you go and work from this destination for a period of time, because I think more and more people will do it. One of my team based in California, she actually sent me an email earlier in the week, and she's like, Andrew, it's so expensive to live in LA. I don't really need to be here anymore. I moved here for the job. I can basically work on the time zone back at my parents', but I'm thinking of going to work at the Mexico office. I was like, great, I'm just jealous. I'd love to be in the Mexico office right now. Crack on. But I think more and more people will want to do that, and lots of companies are global, and you can kind of work from anywhere. And we've really proved that with Zoom, Teams, Skype, all the digital options we've had over the last year, that it can be done.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the online meetings and everything, but it works if you need to. I just, I can recommend Costa Rica. That's really like nice country to stay for a few months. Great weather, ocean, beaches, and people are nice. So yeah, if you guys to hide somewhere for a while.
You mentioned Costa Rica there. We've part of our brand, we actually, Costa Rica was always a day touring and transfer company for us. It's somewhere we've expanded to become multi-day touring, and we're already seeing a huge amount of kind of tailor-made business coming through Costa Rica from a US perspective. But yes, certainly one of my team did a webinar with some agents on it yesterday, had a good number of agents. So there's definitely the interest there, and I think people are starting to book further afield of themselves. So key to just make sure that you're marketing the right destinations that are going to kind of sell at this point, I guess.
Right. All right. To tick the questions I got here for you guys, let's continue with Hans. And Hans, basically, I wanted to say it continues from the question I gave to Jenni, but it's been already 10 minutes ago. So let's say there's a statistic. Every 65 people of 100 organize their own travel plan. What do you think about that? I mean, is it a big problem for classical travel agencies, or what do the travel agencies should do about it? That 65% of people would like to go on their own.
Yeah, what I think is interesting is to compare what I've seen with travel agents in Europe versus the United States. So for relatively standard trips, think about a very simple beach holiday or a very simple city trip. People like just to organize it themselves online. They think it may be even a waste of time to involve a travel agent. But where the opportunity is for travel agents is in the higher end travel. And here you can see the development in the United States with travel consortia, travel agent consortia like Virtuoso, Signature, and yeah, a couple of others that really target the high-end customer. They call themselves travel counselors or travel consultants, even free time consultants, just optimizing a high-end experience for their clients that don't have much time to do all the work themselves. So yeah, in the United States, you see that travel agents, they have reinvented themselves very successfully. And yeah, that would be my main recommendation also for the European travel agents. There's still plenty of business for travel agents, but don't try to get the mass customer, but yeah, develop towards a more higher end FIT tailor-made offering.
Yeah. As you mentioned, I as a business owner, I think about this quite often, and I think in this COVID time, basically, people, at least here in Central Europe, people have fear to travel, and it's I'm no wonder of that, because the media are full of the bad news, and they are afraid of travel. Like, they ask me these questions almost every single day, and I trying to encourage them. And I think that's gonna be the little advantage what the travel companies or travel agencies can offer to the clients, because some of the clients which were not so experienced but they were trying to travel on their own, they will seek for more security. So I think that's what travel agency can offer. You travel in groups, you care about everything, you care about papers and tests and all those things which are new for the people. Yeah. What do you? Yeah. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Like, that's a little advantage for us, like this COVID restrictions and all the new stuff what COVID brought.
I think so, for sure. I mean, here in Canada, I mean, everyone is just looking for direction. I think, like, our government had basically said, well, they did say fairly recently in the last couple of months, don't travel. If you have travel booked, don't cancel it, postpone it, kind of thing. And there's been so many mixed messages out there, like, you get hope and then kind of it's put down. So, and even each province has different regulations, right? So even within Canada, there are places you are allowed to go, other places you're not. And I think it's just so hard to keep track of what the rules are from day to day. And I think people will look to the travel agents to be the ones to like keep track of those things. And I think everyone just wants reassurance that what they're booking, or if they're booking air for the fall or even early 22, like, what are the conditions? If they have to cancel, what does that look like? And I think that they'll want someone to be able to tell them, this is exactly the way it works, and this is what you can do, what you can't do, this is what you'll get back, what you won't get back. Because I think everything's been very gray, like a gray area for most people.
Yeah,
I think
right.
So I think flexibility is definitely key during this period, and we're seeing more and more of our partners looking for extension of that flexibility. But it's also bearing in mind that these services on the ground, the hoteliers, these people that are running activities, etc., as well. If partners are looking for that kind of extension so far into, let's say 2022, not everybody's actually kind of offering that extension at this stage. So it's kind of like we have to be kind of cautious, I guess, of what that looks like, and bear in mind that the pressure we're also putting on these local services on the ground, because by saying that you want free of charge cancellation up until 2 days, that can put a real pressure on a company on the ground. If they're only a two-man band, we need to kind of think about that as well, and the expectations, and trying to satisfy the customer at the same time, but that can be also a bit of an issue at times.
Yeah, right. All right, Andrew, let's keep you up for a little longer. We basically didn't talk much about the mass tourism in the past minutes. So, what changes do you think await us in the culture and mass tourism after the Corona?
I think, like Hans mentioned earlier, I think mass tourism is always going to be an issue. It's never going to be solved post-COVID, but what operators can do is a better job of trying to solve that to a certain degree. For example, let's look at Venice as a destination, for example. Everyone generally flocks there in the summer. Why not go in the winter months when tourism generally isn't there? The weather might not be so great, but it's a charming time to go. There'll be less tourists in that destination, and you'll be able to probably get accommodation, etc., at a cheaper rate there as well. And I think in terms of what we do at Discover, it's really kind of, we've got a bit of a slogan, Discover the Difference. It's kind of, we will always look at a partner's DNA, what they want to do, look at the highlights that they want to try and get to of a destination, but really kind of think about, reality is, do we need to go there, or could we do this instead to make your program stand out from the crowd? So let's use an example of Sao in northern Vietnam. Over the last years, that's really kind of had the light shined on it. There's lots of new hotels being built. It's basically pushing up the prices for locals to actually live there, which is meaning they're having to move out of that area. So that over tourism can really be a bit of an effect on them destinations. How can we challenge that and do things a little bit differently? Operators can start thinking about where they can potentially, let's look at a highlight rather than kind of go left, let's go right and actually do this something that's a little bit more off the beaten track. It's a little bit similar, but you're actually giving something back to them local communities that potentially wouldn't have got that kind of tourism otherwise. So an example of that, I guess, is kind of some of the projects that we've been doing at Discover is just thinking about how we can look at local communities and bring tourism to them at kind of particular rates. We don't want to have flocks and flocks of customers going there, but we'd like to be able to provide for certain communities. So rather than going on an organized tour for $50, why don't we go to a local village where we're going to pay a certain amount of dollars for them to make us a home cooked meal? We could potentially do a homestay, which will also give them a certain amount of revenue. We could borrow their bikes and they could charge us $3 per bike hire, for example. So really kind of thinking about go into them areas. And how's culture going to change post-COVID? I'm not too sure, to be fair, but I think we really need to think about how we can be giving back to these local communities more, because they have had a massive impact over the last year. Even at Discover, we've had a number of leaders that we've kind of had to kind of stand down. They've not been working, a certain amount of drivers. So their kind of style of life, what they're driving towards in terms of tourism, it's just not there at the moment. So we just need to kind of support that going back into them destinations and how we can challenge it and do it differently. Mass tourism post-corona, I think people will certainly still do group tours. I think some of the larger group tours will need to review how that looks imminently. I can't imagine group coach sizes of 48 being the thing to do. So we maybe just have to kind of challenge that with some of our partners and really understand if we'll be able to kind of meet the price point, if they can be able to sell it well, if they do want a smaller group size, because it might go up in price. But I think more and more customers will also want to do tailor-made tours in the short term as well. And that's certainly what we've been seeing over the last kind of few months. We're an Asian specialist, so it's kind of like the last destination on people's mind right now. But we're kind of seeing some inquiry coming through now for Bali, Thailand, and Japan is certainly going through the roof. If you kind of think about it, cherry blossom season in, where are we now, 21? 2020 was cancelled, 2021, it's not going to go ahead. So there's almost kind of like 3 years of pent-up demand for that cherry blossom season now in Japan next year. And pretty much accommodation is pretty much sold out. And what is left there is going through the roof. So we just need to kind of be mindful of that, think about the locals and how we can kind of come out of this, think about your product and how you can support them a little bit more.
Yeah. Do you guys, sorry Hans, Andrew touched it, but do you guys, Hans and Jenny, think that people who usually travel or willing to travel to big cities and doing that mass tourism, that they will prefer the remote places and they change their behavior? Or those people who are rather visiting big cities, they will stay with this product? Or do you think COVID changed this behavior?
Maybe the behavior not, but what I wanted to point out, and also building on Andrew's story, is that we as tour operators, travel companies, we have a responsibility also in our marketing. And we have a tendency as travel companies to market the highlights, the bucket lists, and get bookings on that. And we try to refrain from explaining, the more unknown destinations or unknown, less popular destinations. And I think we need to, put a better effort in that. And to build on an example that Andrew was giving. So I personally visited Venice in February, and it was amazing. And it was, by the way, still blue skies. It was, 14 degrees, perfect for a walk. So why can't we, as tour operators, explain that, you guys, it's much better to visit it in February, it's cheaper, no crowds. We should really do a better job there, explaining to customers why they should travel off season or why they should travel to, the less known places in the world.
Yeah, I think that's how, in terms of kind of marketing a product, is really thinking about, you could whack a picture of the Taj Mahal in that marketing shot, but you could also find a really unique experience, which is kind of working with the local and their communities, maybe a home cooked meal or a street food tour that would really kind of make it stand out from what everyone else is doing. Accommodation, Jenni mentioned earlier as well. For Contiki, I can imagine how accommodation is a huge thing for them, because that kind of market, they're all on Instagram. The only thing I post on Instagram is pictures of my dogs and cats, but everything else, I mean, that kind of market, that is what they are looking for. They're looking for them amazing moments that they can take a great shot of and get on their social media so they can brag to all of their friends. And by doing that, then they can kind of tell their friends about Contiki, and they'll hopefully go and book with them as well. So I think it's really kind of just playing into your demographic about what they will be looking for and shining through in that marketing, but maybe always not sticking to the highlights, and maybe just start thinking about having your departures out of season. There is no reason why that you need to stick to the best time for weather. Like, more and more customers are happy to go out of season, because first off, it'll be a better price point as well, and secondly, there's going to be a lot less crowds for them when they're meeting them destinations.
I agree. I mean, it's always been something that, we every year have campaigns promoting off season, like what you're just saying, less crowds, less expensive. It makes so much sense. Personally, I only travel in off season, but I guess it is something that it's hard to get through to people. But going back to the Venice, you guys both talked about Venice, so I'll throw in my Venice story as well. I completely agree. Like, if you are going in, say, the summer months, so what Contiki's done is it's really a fine line, because when someone's looking at an itinerary, if they are choosing Italy, if they don't see Venice on the itinerary, they'll be upset, right? Because it's in their head that they want to go. They don't realize when they go in the summer, it's like insanely busy. So what we have done in the past few years, and I was able to experience this, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, you will go to Venice for a short time to see, you get your gondola ride, those bucket list things that you need to do. But the majority of the time, we actually take them on a private transfer over to Burano Island, which is very close. It's actually so Instagrammable if that's what you're going for. Like, all the buildings are different, brightly colored, painted bright colors. It's a fishing kind of village. We have our dinner there with a local family that hosts the group. And at the end of the day, yes, travelers were able to say, yeah, I went to Venice, but the majority of their time was spent in a place that they had never heard of. That is what they're going to actually end up talking about when they get home. And it's, that unique experience that maybe they didn't know that they wanted, but going there, they realized that is exactly what they were going for, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, agree. Andrew, I was wondering, like, you mentioned that you specialize in Asian countries, right? And as far as I know, most of the Asian countries are closed so far, and been for a few months already, or a long time. What does it mean for your business? Does it mean like you just really reduce your costs and everything, or you trying to focus on different countries and markets which are open, like African countries, or I don't know.
Yeah. I guess we're very fortunate as a DMC. Yes, 80% of our business is Asia. We've really grown the Americas in the last kind of, it's been accelerated, should I say, kind of in the last year. But we're very well supported by our parent company, who is Flight Centre. So in terms of kind of financial stability, yes, we've had to kind of reduce our workforce, but the core staff, the operations, the reservations, the BDMs, the account managers, the senior management team, that's very much all there. Of course, anyone that's kind of on the local leader front, we're trying to support as much as we can during this period as well, and then drivers as well. So yeah, in terms of kind of over the last year, I feel like we've had the busiest hibernation period going, considering we haven't had many customers traveling. And yes, in terms of Asian countries, you're seeing stuff in the media all the time, all right? In terms of Thailand may open on the 1st of July, then it's the 1st of January 22, and then it's the 1st of October. Until there's any kind of official announcements, it's just kind of noise, and we just need to kind of wait until official confirmation. But we are starting to see some green light. We're starting to see, as mentioned, kind of tailor-made bookings coming in from our partners. In terms of that kind of group serious operating business, we're probably looking at kind of November, December time. But it has really allowed us to kind of pause, think about what we did in the past. We used to say we were kind of the chameleon of DMCs, that we can do anything. Going forward, we're really going to think about kind of what we do really, really well and accelerate what we think is going to be the future, which is going to be small group tours. It's going to be tailor-made. We've just launched our luxury tailor-made offering as well, which is new for us, and really start to think about that creativity with our partners about theming products. So, for example, a youth customer, they might want to go to a destination, thinking about what is the booking experience looking like, and also kind of how you can theme it to make yourself stand out, like yoga at the moment, photography, all of these different kind of themes that you could be doing to attract that new customer would be great. But yeah, we've certainly not stopped. We're looking at launching 6 new destinations by the end of this year. So it's certainly keeping me and the Discover team busy.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for the answer. And we are slowly getting to the end of our conversation. And I'm just what I realize that you, Andrew, even as a DMC or Jenni with Contiki, you guys probably from kind of like a bigger companies, and maybe me and Hans are from the small companies, really focusing on a niche market. And it's nice to see that doesn't matter if you from smaller company or bigger company. That we all trying to really offer a personalized experience, and we really try to improve our products probably the same way, like to offer smaller groups, better experience, maybe a little more remote places, something unique to the clients, which I think is great. And hopefully the clients they will appreciate it, and we will get the business we deserve, because it's been really tough for all of us. And I would like to mention, I give you the last word, quick word after my short speech. But I would like to mention to all people, like people shouldn't be afraid to travel. I travel in the past 4 months to 3 different countries, and even they are testing and other stuff. And but I think it's kind of safe, and people are just worried too much, and they should be just going out, trying on their own, travel, and just don't be scared, and don't read every article what is in newspapers, because the world is here for us, and we are still here. And don't lock yourself at home. And you guys, it was really nice meeting you, and I give you one of you the last word, and I think that would be it. So yeah, go ahead and say something what you have on your mind as a last sentence or couple of sentences.
It's almost impossible, Karel, after those last final words of you. I so much agree with you. Traveling is not unsafe. It is your behavior, either in where you live or abroad, that can be unsafe. But traveling is not unsafe, and I hope to get out next week. So wish me good luck.
Okay, perfect. Jenni?
I would say, yeah, as soon as, I know it's different for everyone in the world, but for us here in Canada, it's a little bit hard at the moment. Obviously, we would go as soon as we could, but there is still the 14-day quarantine. You do need to spend a lot more to stay in a specific hotel that's recommended by the government. So I think once that is lifted, people will 100% be jumping on the planes and getting out there.
Yeah.
Right. Totally agree. And you, Andrew?
I think just kind of reiterating from spoke about a little bit throughout the session is just be open to kind of changing your product offering, adapt to what the future may well look like. If you've done the same product for 20 years, it's definitely time to change it up. So look at their new and unique experiences, what can be done differently, talk to your DMCs, or just look at the creativity yourselves about how you can stand out from the crowd. And like the others have mentioned there, the media is poison at the moment, right? Like one moment it's great and you're seeing green light and everyone's booking holidays, and then suddenly you get smacked in the news that if you travel, you've got a £5,000 fine. It's not illegal to book holidays. It's illegal potentially to travel from some markets at the moment, but that will change. And just kind of, yeah, try and ensure your customers that you're going to get some great deals by booking at this point, and you've got all the bells and whistles attached to it in terms of cancellation should something go wrong. At least you're securing that booking and getting a great rate now.
Okay, perfect. So I would say let's be flexible and don't be afraid. And who else should be optimistic than we? We have to start the optimistic wave. So guys, thank you a lot. And I think it was a nice conversation. So I wish you all the best.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. It was a great talk to listen.